Walt, ever since reading Through the Looking Glass, always loved the story about Alice in Wonderland. In 1923, Walt started the Laugh-O-Gram Studios. The studio would work on shorts, however, Walt started to work on a project he called Alice's Wonderland short. This was a live-action Alice with animated characters behind it, the first of its kind for its day. Sadly, in 1927, Laugh-O-Gram Studios went bust. Walt had the unfinished rough cut of the Alice short. He used this to convince Wrinkler Pictures to produce more shorts with Alice. These shorts turned into the Alice comedies. Walt often remembered the Alice in Wonderland story, and in 1936, now that Mickey Mouse is established as a star character, he went back to Wonderland with Mickey through the mirror. Don't be shocked to hear that Walt wanted his first feature to be about Alice. This is as early as 1932. Walt ultimately abandoned this idea due to Paramount in 1933 released an Alice in Wonderland. This film flopped at the box office. Due to the flop of Alice, Walt decided to go with Snow White instead as his first feature. After the success of Snow White, Walt did toy with the idea of revisiting Alice as a feature to follow up from Snow White. He asked his storymen to come up with a story that would suit Alice in Wonderland. Unfortunately, the stories they came up with didn't really suit the tone that Walt wanted, so he put the project on hold and concentrated on Fantasia, Bambi, and Pinocchio. He did leave Easter eggs to let us know that he hasn't completely forgot about Alice in Wonderland. After World War II, Walt revisited Alice. He asked his team to create not so much a full story, but a lot of little stories with a more comedic approach. The little stories would be what Alice encounters in Wonderland as we progress through the feature. The biggest input into the Alice project was the artwork that Mary Blair, yes, that Mary Her artwork convinced Walt that Alice should be made as an animated feature. For the feature, Walt went back to rotoscoping. Rotoscoping was used to get more lifelike and realistic movements in animated characters.
Alice in Wonderland. Our version of Alice in Wonderland begins in a favorite carol setting. A drowsy summer afternoon by the banks of a quiet river in the English countryside.
Hi Walt, and thank you for that introduction. I'll take over from here if you do not mind. We meet Alice. Alice is in the middle of a history lesson and is finding it extremely boring. So she starts to wander and daydream. As Alice is daydreaming, all of a sudden a white rabbit runs past her. And to be fair, if a talking rabbit ran past me saying he was late, I'm pretty sure I would follow him, wouldn't you? Just to see what's going on. So as Alice follows the rabbit down the rabbit hole, she comes across a door that she cannot fit through because she's too tall. She starts talking to the doorknob, and the doorknob tells her to drink something on the table that will help make her smaller. What's that, you say? Drink this? Sadly, it's a small world for me anyway. Bugger. So Alice is working her way through Wonderland, going from story to story and meeting all sorts of different characters, until she comes across Tweedledee and Tweedledum. The animation in this part is absolutely fantastic, and the sound effects when Tweedledum and Tweedledee hit themselves always cracks me up. Tweedledee and Tweedledum really do want to tell Alice the story, so she agrees to listen to their story about the Walrus and the Carpenter. The Walrus and the Carpenter is quite a dark tale, and for some reason there is a massive emphasis on the letter R in March on the calendar. I'm not too sure what this means. If you know what this means, please leave a comment below. So the Walrus manages to convince the oysters to follow him to this wonderful looking restaurant. Once inside the restaurant, unfortunately for the oysters, the real reason they're there is revealed. You can hear the heartbreak in their voice as well. Then the Carpenter returns to find that there's no oysters for him. You see what I mean when I say it's a dark story, extremely dark. Alice listens to the story and it's very sad. Tweedledee and Tweedledum wanted to stay and listen to another story, and they begin to start telling it. Alice decides to sneak off and continue her adventures in Wonderland. As Alice carries on into Wonderland, going through her adventures, she comes across the rabbit's house. She gets into a bit of trouble by getting bigger inside the house. Alice remembers from the doorknob that if she eats something, she'll shrink. Luckily this works and the rabbit's house is saved from being burned down. The rabbit realises he's late again and runs off. After leaving the rabbit's house, Alice comes across a flower garden and they all start off nice singing a wonderful song. However, once the flowers realise that Alice isn't actually a flower, they turn on her. Alice leaves the flowers behind and comes across the caterpillar. She wants to be back to her normal size, and the caterpillar does help her by explaining that one side of the mushroom he is on makes her taller, while the other side makes her shorter. Alice then comes across the Cheshire Cat, who seems to want to help Alice, and he advises her that she should go to see the Mad Hatter. Sterling Holloway, the voice actor, known for a lot of Disney classic voices, did the voice for the Cheshire Cat. He also did Pooh Bear from Winnie the Pooh, Sleepy from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and Car the Snake from the Jungle Book. Alice comes across the Mad Hatter and interrupts his tea party. However, she is asked to join them as they are celebrating their unbirthday. Another Disney favourite, Ed Wynn, who voiced the Mad Hatter, when recording the rotoscoping so they could have lifelike animation for the Mad Hatter's tea party, he improv'd most of his lines. When it came to record the dialogue for the animation on this Mad Hatter's tea party, they came to realise that Ed Wynn's performance in the rotoscoping scenes was actually better than what they had scripted down, so they ended up using that instead. Alice is starting to get homesick and all she wants to do is go home really. We meet some more Wonderland characters and Alice gets to sing a little song to herself as she's feeling blue. We then meet the Cheshire Cat again, who explains to Alice that maybe she should meet the Queen, and then offers Alice a shortcut. Alice finds some gardeners painting roses red, and they're singing about it. The reason they are painting the roses red is because the Queen is the Queen of Hearts, and she only wants red roses. Unfortunately, the gardeners spot that the Queen is approaching. The Queen then discovers that the roses have indeed been painted red, and unfortunately for the gardeners, so the gardeners get carted off by the guards. Then the Queen sees Alice and asks her to play crochet. While playing crochet, it is quite apparent that Alice is not meant to win this game at all, with all the animals and creatures messing around. The Cheshire Cat appears and seems determined to get Alice into trouble by playing tricks on the Queen in order to try and get Alice to lose her head. It seems that way to me anyway. Not very nice. Even with Alice saying please don't, the Cheshire Cat plays a worse trick on the Queen And that is pretty much it for Alice. So Alice is sent to trial because of the Queen wanting to chop off Alice's head. Alice points out that the cat is still there, but of course the Queen cannot see the cat as he keeps disappearing. We then meet all the other characters we've seen so far in Wonderland, and they cause a bit of a scene in the courtroom. In the ensuing chaos, the Queen gets hit on the head, so the mallet gets passed down to you-know-who, Alice. The Queen sees Alice with the jam and the mallet in her hand, and blames her. Alice then remembers she has the mushrooms in her pocket and becomes tall. Unfortunately for Alice, the mushroom wears off, and the whole courtroom and the kingdom end up chasing her. Alice is chased back through Wonderland, and we meet all the other characters that she's met on her travels. She finds the door that she started her travels on and looks through the keyhole to find it's herself asleep in the meadow. Alice wakes up from her dream and she returns back home. It was all a dream after all. On the 26th of July 1951, Alice was released in England for its premiere. Unfortunately, Alice was not received well. Most complaints were about how Americanised it was for a classic English story. However, in the late 60s, early 70s, Alice was actually in big demand in US colleges. Alice had gained a, shall we say, psychedelic audience. And with this demand, the Disney company re-released Alice in cinemas in 1974. I believe that Alice is a Disney classic with its fantastic artwork and its comedic characters. Everybody knows the Mad Hatter, the Cheshire Cat, Alice herself. These are classic characters that are beloved by Disney fans all over the world. Also, before Star Wars came to the parks, Alice in Wonderland was the only feature that had two attractions, the Mad Hatter's Tea Party and Alice in Wonderland, the Dark Ride. Thank you so much for watching this review, guys, and from me and Walt, we would like to wish you a very merry unbirthday. Thanks for watching. I've been Retro, hopefully you've been smiling. I'll see you for the next movie review.